So let's first do privilege and not privilege, or richness and poverty. And that could be physical, it could be intellectual, it could be emotional, it could be spiritual. From there, we'll go to envy. We'll also talk about selfishness, because the moment you become envious of something, and it's usually you become envious of those who have something that you want. So they are rich and you're poor. But for you to have something that another has, but you're unwilling to make sacrifices, what often happens is you self-sabotage yourself, because you're dealing with about 5, 10, 15, 20 years of habits that you have to overcome to get to this new place, but you can't. And so your confidence diminishes, and eventually you go back to the same place. What was yours? Personality disorder. Okay. And I suppose in a metaphoric way, you can say that there is a part of you that desires something that it doesn't have. There is this other part that says, oh, forget it, you will never have it. And so you'll have, a couple of days in hell, and you have a couple of minutes in paradise, confidence and its absence. Okay. And of course, karma and dharma, I'll try to somehow fit those in. Let me first of all apologize for this class. And let me tell you why. Many of you are 18, 19, 20. You're trying to figure out who you are, what you want to do for the next 50, 60, 70 years. And your mind, your imaginations are quite fertile. The soil that you have in your imagination is pretty good. Should you become attracted to an idea, it doesn't take very much to inspire any of you. You're still very fresh. Unlike Ray and myself, you're not as jaded by life. You haven't suffered old age. You haven't suffered life crushing your dreams. You haven't perhaps experienced too many disappointments. Hopefully. And so you come to class, it's the first day, and all of a sudden you have an instructor who stands before you. And let's just kind of create a story, though it may not be a story, it may be a fact. That I come to class and I sound cocky and arrogant. I am filled with pride and hubris. And I am bold enough to say, let's have some questions. And all of you raise your hand and you ask questions, and I say, okay, easy enough, we can tackle all of them. As Ray suggested, somehow you're able to kind of web all these questions together. And so I present myself as a know-it-all prick. And then some of you go home, have a chat with your friends, and you want to talk about some of the ideas you have in your head, or some of the ideas we talked about in class. And all of a sudden you come to realize that you can't speak perhaps as eloquently, or maybe you can't speak clearly about certain ideas. And so you become envious. You say to yourself, how could Amir Sabzavari speak in such a way? I try to do that, but I can't. And so envy comes in. There is you in a state of poverty. You remember the class, i.e. Amir Sabzavari, a man who is rich in ideas, rich in the way he expresses ideas. And then you say to yourself, he comes to class, his voice doesn't shake, he doesn't exude lack of confidence, I want to be like him. And so you use me, at least an image of me, to kind of better yourself. And though in many ways it's a good image to have, in some ways it backfires because you're 20 and you want to possess some of the qualities. And this is just, for the sake of the argument, I'm not saying I possess any of these qualities, but nevertheless. And you say, I want to be as privileged as Amir Sabzavari. I want to be confident like him. He comes to class always in the same mood. He doesn't suffer from personality disorders. He's not like moody, always changing like a weather. And even though there may be an idea or a question out there that he may not know how to respond to it, he doesn't sabotage himself by saying, oh, shucks, well, I don't know how that works. Let's just not talk about it. He goes into it and experiments it. Couple of things that you need to understand about people of privilege, such as me. First, I am 60. Second, I'm married. Third, I have children. Fourth, I have a few degrees. Fifth or sixth or seventh, I've been in this class for the past 20 years. I've been teaching for about 30 years. Before even going to school, I had a teacher with whom I worked for about 10 years. I also come from a very reflective, very sad, gloomy culture. And I say this for one simple reason. Many of you may go to Barnes and Nobles and buy yourself a self-help book, and you may envy the author who can write so clearly and passionately about, say, personality disorder, or how to overcome lack of self-confidence, or how to overcome envy. Don't listen to these people. The only thing that you really need to overcome some of the illnesses that you may have, whether they are lack of confidence, all you need to do is come to a certain stage in your life where you are disgusted by your own self, you're disgusted by your own actions, you're disgusted by your own past, and then slowly you become observant, slowly you become mindful, slowly you begin to learn how to become aware of the ways you think, on what you think about, how you think about them, your interaction with yourself and other people. And then the moment you have an awareness about you, you have no choice but to have that awareness push you into a diet. It could be a physical diet, kind of like Elizabeth Taylor, for those of you who know who she is. She was an actress. She's long dead. But her story is she let herself go. She started eating because food really is quite delicious, especially if you're as rich, as prosperous and privileged as Elizabeth Taylor is or was. She ate and ate and ate and ate until she became about 200, 300, 400, 500 pounds. And one day she is taking a bath. She gets out of her tub. She looks herself in the mirror and she says to herself, oh my God, how could this happen to me? Why do I look this way? So even though she is physically privileged, in other words, she has lots of money, she is famous, she has power on the stage and outside of it, psychologically, she looks at herself and she says to herself, how could I have done this to my body? Her confidence goes down, and now she has in her psyche the fact of who she is, a woman who weighs 500 pounds, and the fiction. Another personality says, Elizabeth, you can go back to being 175 pounds. Okay. So the moment she became aware, and the truth is, no one knows when that's going to happen. I know there are lots of how-tos out there by Eckhart Tolle, Jordan Peterson, Socrates, Jesus Christ. Everybody's trying to tell us how to do certain things to get to a certain point. But the truth is, you should always, always, always pay attention to perhaps the wisest thing that you will ever read in the four Gospels. You can't make the grass grow by pulling it. You want to overcome envy. It doesn't matter what I say. There comes a point where you're just exhausted by always looking at another's plate and saying, I want what he has, but I lack the money. Out of envy comes jealousy. Out of jealousy comes frustration because you want to overcome it, but you can't. Then you become angry at yourself for not being able to overcome it, and you also become angry at the other person who has it but doesn't want to share. And then every single day you go home and your mom says to you, why are you so angry all the time? And then your friends say those things to you. And whatever confidence you had about yourself goes out the window. And so when a man or a woman at a party comes to you and says, you're hot, you're attractive, you're intelligent, you're wise, I want to go out with you. Your self-confidence over the years have been so shot that you sabotage the relationship. You say, oh no, that can't be. I'm unattractive. I'm not wise. I'm quite ignorant and incompetent. So whatever good comes your way, you basically destroy it. Now, I guess we've covered everything now. Privilege. Ray and I have had the privilege, or have the privilege, of having access to our past, learning from our past, to some extent have a few nuggets of wisdom. That is the privilege that we have, but the most of you in this class don't. Our poverty is we're no longer young. We want to walk and run as fast as most of you, but we can't. And therein lies our poverty. So you could be privileged in one stage of life and quite poor in another one. So self-sabotage. It's not going to happen. It takes many, many years and the working of many people together to create a software for a PC or an Apple computer. And in that software, there are also certain stories that should a virus hit, you should do A, B, C, D. And in fact, you will purchase additional softwares to protect your computer from viruses attacking it and ultimately destroying whatever you have on the hard drive. If I was to ask you, how long have you been in the business of self-sabotaging? The truth is, it didn't come yesterday. It didn't come over the break. It's been inside you for about 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And there are lots of different reasons. It could have started with privilege or poverty, led to envy, your confidence shatters, and you become the wrong, or you adopt the wrong selfishness. In other words, doing things that will benefit you, prosper you in life, you choose the other. You choose things that obstacle your growth. So what you're asking, I suppose all of us in this class, because all of us do have a tendency of self-sabotaging ourselves in different ways, is is there a way that I can find a way to stop myself from self-sabotage? And what you're saying is, can I get a different software? But you see, if you want to install a software in your computer and the disk, the hard drive is full, you go to the files, all the things that you have stored, you highlight them, and then you push the delete button. If you simply observe from the basic things in life, you realize how to get rid of most of the things that you don't like inside you, whether it's envy, whether it's jealousy, whether it's personality disorder, which sometimes could be psychological, chemical, and some of it because of life events. Now, despite all the complaints most of us may have about, I don't like self-sabotaging, the truth is, it's a world you're familiar with. You know what to do with jealousy. You know what to do with anger. You know what to do with envy. You just go to someone and beat them up. You don't talk to them for a while. But to overcome it means you need a brand new software. But your hard drive is full. It doesn't have room for this new software. So what you need to do is, you need to get rid of this self-sabotaging software that's lived inside you for about 15 years. How do you do it? Well, you can't do it. No book reading can do it for you. No workshop can do it for you. You need to become addicted to someone. And I use this metaphor because it's part of my culture. And the way I've been trained is that since change can never be done alone, you need a huge support system to kind of get rid of the things you don't want that live inside you. Every time you try to self-sabotage, you have someone who'll sit you down, sometimes nicely, sometimes not so nicely, and try to knock some sense into your psyche. But it's going to be profoundly painful. Assalamu alaikum. So I want to tell you a story that comes from Hinduism, from which we get karma and dharma. There was a lioness who was pregnant, and she pushes out this tiny little lion. And as this lion is following his parents, slips, goes down this tunnel, bangs his head to this rock, wakes up, and he is surrounded by sheep. Sheep are scared because the lion can eat them. So the sheep go, bah, bah. This tiny little lion hasn't yet grown teeth. Confused, lost, frightened, this lion cub goes, bah, bah. Have any of you ever seen a lion go bah? Of course not. So lion grows in the sheep community, eats grass, is compassionate to the birds, looks at the sheep as parents and communities, loves them, never tempted to eat them. In fact, when this grown lion sees other lions eating sheep, he fights on behalf of the sheep. He's like the Jesus Christ of the sheep world. And so one day, as this Simba or lion is walking, he's a grown lion now, very powerful, slips, goes through this tunnel, bangs his head to a rock, unconscious, wakes up and goes, bah. But this time, he finds himself surrounded by a pack of lions. The lions look at this lion slash sheep and say, what the hell is wrong with this lion? Lions are supposed to roar like, wow. They're not supposed to go, bah. Now, The alpha male of this lion pack understands what has happened. He sits, observes, and sees that everyone in this pack, in this community of lions, is sitting this lion/sheep down, trying to convince him in a very rational way, you're a lion, not a sheep. And this lion who has forgotten that he was a lion, or he is a lion, he goes, bah, no lion, I'm a sheep. And when they try to offer him some meat, he says, no, give me some cucumbers or broccoli. And then other lions look at this lost lion and say to him, you should go to Barnes and Nobles and read a book about what it means to be a lion. Another lion looks at this lost lion and says, I know what you need. If you have a lion who's like a Sigmund Freud in our community, maybe you should go talk to him. He'll rearrange the contents of your, intellect. He tries all of it, doesn't work. Some of you in this class have been to therapy. It's giving you some insights, but real application just doesn't work. Some of you have great amounts of wisdom within you. You know when you're being inauthentic. You know when you're self-sabotaging. You know how sometimes when you're poor, you envy what other people have. You know how jealousy impacts your body, your mind, and your emotions. But just because you know, it doesn't mean you know how to apply what you know. In fact, the moment you know but you can't apply, you have a fragmentation, a division in your identity. There's a part of you that knows, and there's a part of you that knows how incapable you are to bringing knowledge into application. And now you have two burdens. You know, but you also know how incompetent you are. So you know what the alpha male does? He grabs the lion by the neck, doesn't ask permission. There is only one way to rearrange the content of your intellect. If you have envy inside you, if you have jealousy inside you, there is a long way and a short way. The long way is you sitting, reading books, going to therapy, doing medication, distracting, taking philosophy classes, going to YouTube and hearing people talk about how to overcome this and that. The shortcut is what this alpha lion does. Grabs this lion/sheep by the neck, doesn't ask his permission, by force drags him towards a pool of water. And the water is still, it's calm. And the lion/sheep resists. But this alpha lion is far too strong, far too powerful. And this alpha lion, by force, pushes this lion's head near the water. So this lion/sheep can, for the first time, have a glimpse of his own reflection, to come to realize that in his head, he thinks himself to be a sheep. In reality, though, he is a lion. But the alpha lion knows something really, really well. That a quick glimpse at who and what you are is not enough. It needs to be constant. It needs to be continuous, without pause, without respite. So every time this lion/sheep tries to sabotage what he sees, he gets a big smacking from the lion. Over and over and over and over again, until one day, after like 5 or 6 or 7 years, this lion/sheep no longer goes bah, but goes meow. He's become a lion at last. And the point I'm trying to make is the complicated world of change You don't want to have jealousy inside you. That requires change. You want to be okay with your stage, which is one of poverty. You need to change the way you think and feel about things. It's never easy. Change is never easy. Look at me, people. Look at our good friend Ray. Really, you don't think that we see flaws in our character? Of course we do. Don't you know that both Ray and I look at our past and we have a good amount of regrets, and we repent and we promise ourselves never to make that kind of mistake? Of course we do. How successful are we? Not very successful at all. We've just learned how to live with our regrets really, really well. That's all, yeah.
Bad karma.
Bad karma? Do you like meat?
Yeah, I eat all the time.
That's good. I mean, imagine if everybody was to be a vegetarian. You know, the amount of poop and gas that's released from animals, especially cows, if you don't butcher them, this planet will die. So you're actually saving the planet by eating meat. Yeah. So next time you go to In-N-Out, you should say to yourself, carbon dioxide? Oh no, that's bad for the planet. And that's the poop and the gas exiting cows. You should not just order one double, you should order 5. And then stand on the table at In-N-Out and say, people, I single-handedly am saving this earth. See? I didn't know you were Jesus Christ, Brandon, and you are. You're an environmentalist.
Oh,
Good job. Yes?
Talk about self-awareness
Okay.
and your sensitivity to understand or see.
Yes. Okay.
So no statements. No, you said no statements.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, the cow thing is not true. It's one.
I just read a book that said that. You may have read a different book. I mean, there are so many conflicting and opposing information out there. I'm not really quite sure which ones are true, which ones are not true. I read somewhere that Plato was the son of Apollo. Other people don't say that. The point I'm trying to make, I don't disagree with you. There's a good chance that what I say is wrong. Most of the things, in fact, I say are quite wrong. It's just something I heard.
I like it. I enjoy this thing. The volume of meat we eat,
The what?
the volume of meat
Of course, yeah.
is because it's only possible because the cow population is artificially much higher than industrial
Sure.
farming.
Yeah. Allahu Akbar. Look, look, for those of you in this class who want to eat meat, don't eat too much of it. It's what he's saying is true. It's actually quite bad for the body. Just eat a little bit. Like instead of having 5 double, just eat like 4.5. Okay? If you're able to kind of just have fun being a vegan, good for you. Now, let's talk about self-awareness. What is it? Allahu Akbar.
some nuggets in and out. Oh.
Okay, before chaos consumes this class, let me continue with, so it doesn't become a complete waste of Ray's presence here. Now,
Four double-doubles on regular bread.
I doubt very much Ray came here for in and out and meat and cows and farts. So let's move on. Now, self-awareness. Let me talk about self-awareness by giving you a quote from the Gospels. Knock, and the door shall be opened unto you. Ask, and you shall be given. Seek, and you shall find. Just in case any of you in this class ever enjoy reading the Gospels, a couple of things you should know. These wisdom sayings by Jesus, they're very, very incomplete. They need volumes of commentary because you need to unpack them, break them open. So don't assume that you understand. Don't be like me, because I'm arrogant enough to assume that I understand. So let me share with you arrogantly what I think these sayings mean. Human beings want to be happy. We don't like pain. We do what we can. We go to places. We knock on doors, praying, hoping that when the door opens, what we see inside this room is going to be tantalizing. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be inspiring, life-changing. I never want to knock on a door, to have this door open for me to walk through the door and 2 weeks later find myself in pain, in disgust, in hatred, in wanting to run away. So the idea that knock and the door shall be opened unto you, it's actually quite untrue. We are creatures of comfort. We don't like pain. We don't like work. We don't like to examine. We don't like people like Malcolm X, Friedrich Nietzsche, Mahatma Gandhi, Jesus Christ, because they demand that we work hard, examine, look at social injustice, look at poverty, examine how arrogant and ridiculous and absurd our lives really are. It's too much work. They make us feel bad. We enjoy reading their wisdom, listening to their wisdom, but their application, never. Given how lazy and complacent all of us in this class enjoy being, how do you get yourself up, go to the fridge, grab some ingredients, cut them and cook so you can have some food? You're either very, very hungry, which is a good cause for pain, or you're bored, which is also a good cause for pain. What pushes you towards the kitchen? What forces your arms to stretch out and open the fridge? Pain. Without pain, there is no desire to knock. Without pain, there is no desire to look for any doors, to ask for any questions.